All right, guys. Now I'd like to discuss movement in the top of the 50-50 without transitioning out of or across the position. Movement in the 50-50 is basically going to be movement in your structure and in your stance, or movement in your base. It's almost the equivalent to wrestling stance and motion. Can I have a little space for a second, please? So here I am in my structure on top of the 50-50. I'm balanced, I'm based. I feel pretty good here. I'm in partway through a technical stand-up. So my head is up, my back is straight, my posture's good. I'm gonna slide in. This allows me to articulate and move this leg without a whole lot of trouble because it's bearing no weight. Part of the reason that you can move your arms everywhere is because they're dexterous naturally, because that's how human beings are built. And part of the reason is because they're carrying no weight. So good kickers, for instance, they put their weight on one leg and then you go, yeah, I can do stuff. And then when they want to be able to move around, they take that leg and stop going, yeah, I can do stuff, and say, yeah, I can put it on the ground and now I can move around. But as soon as I'd like to pick it up to harm someone again, my weight has to transfer onto the other leg. So right now, simply by sliding in and out of my technical getup, I gain the ability to reposition my trapped leg. Now, if my partner is latched onto that thing, I'm still going to have to deal with their grip. But beyond that, assuming there's nothing like encumbering or holding on to me here, all I need to be able to do to be able to put this sucker wherever I want is just make sure I put my butt on the ground instead of my knee. Because I'm settled in base right now. Now I am too, but if you bump me, I'm going to start to fall, and that a lot of times can start to create problems in the, for heel hooks, for sweeps, you name it. And then just like anything else, you start to off balance me, it starts to get bad, and things go from bad to worse. And against good opposition, that can be really, really tough. Now, the second thing is taking this foot and switching. So simply, rather than slide my butt in, I'm going to put my foot down on the floor and go and switch the other direction. So when we bring back our partner here, when I'm in the top of the 50-50, the nice thing about, by the way, if we're grappling or if we're fighting, not grappling, is reach out like a straight ankle lock grip. I'm like, that's awesome. I'm going to stick you in the face so hard that you are definitely, I hope you hold on to that. It'd be really make my day. But he's going to take that hand and put it somewhere else if he's got half a brain. And now all of a sudden I can take this foot and put it places. Do me a favor and take like a cross, like an obnoxious deep grip. I'm like, this is a pain in the ass if I'm honest, It can take a little bit to get out of. Good news in fighting, it's not a problem at all. I just ball up my fist and aim it at your face and something good will happen. But again, in grappling, this is a little bit of a problem. Now, if we come back for a second, we'll address that later on, but I just want to understand the difference between someone kind of wrapped up around your leg and recognize how, I won't say that's a grappling only problem, but that's a largely grappling based problem for them to commit that many of their resources just holding you in position. But if I'm here, rather than picking my foot up, knock me around, would you? You can move me, but even just use your legs and knock me around. I'm like, ooh, I don't really like what's going on here. Doesn't mean I can't do something to deal with it, but I find myself almost like shaking like a leaf in the wind. Move me around now, yank hard, go nuts, seriously, like hurt me or something. I'll be right.
I hope you're based.
Yep, fantastic. Lock a deep triangle, twist super hard. Yeah, it just doesn't do anything. Now if I do this, twist super hard, whoa, hey, I improperly set my structure. So remember, as we discussed in a prior clip, you absolutely have to position yourself properly. If your structure is made out of Swiss cheese or paper mache, it doesn't count as a structure. A wall, in order to function, has to be made out of something that's solid. So again, my knee doesn't soften. I go foot or ankle, knee, hip in my progression. My knee should not be competing with my foot for the front of my structure. So here we are. Adam starts trying to twist me around. I'm like, I feel like a rock. This is great. And he could be a huge human being, and it's really not going to bother me. I slide in, and all of a sudden I can start putting this thing in places. And if you want to like 1FC him, you're like, if they still allow that, that'd be pretty cool. They don't let you do that in the UFC. But anyway, we come back, and I can reposition this foot in various spots because it's no longer bearing weight. So I'm up, settled in, I can accomplish that. Now, other times you're going to go, hey, this is just not getting enough done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this foot down, and I'm going to switch my knees. You're going to see how this is used to break open the 50-50 later on. But if you hold that triangle, and the more of a roided out spaz they are holding onto the triangle, and that is obviously for all those that do jiu-jitsu, that is a very real phenomenon. You can straight up ankle lock it, like cool. So all I'm doing is switching my base. So I'm principally moving in the 50-50 by sliding my knee in, and I can go, let me reposition this. I'm like, oh man, I can't get that thing out of there. That's a real pain in the butt. I'm like, okay, cool. I put my knee to the mat, put my hip on top of my heel, And all of a sudden, I'm able to torque and twist his body. And it may open his legs, it may not. I can't promise you that. But it's going to put a great deal of pressure and torque on him. So simply moving in the top of the 50-50, just like anything else, comes down to mostly setting yourself up properly, just like striking. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm in a good stance. I'm not standing any weird way like this. I'm like, okie dokie. We're properly situated. I feel structurally sound. I'm not doing anything weird like this. I'm not twisting my body across myself. Slide in. Reposition my foot. I'm like, this isn't getting it done. Put your hands on the ground like a bear crawl. Sit the other direction. Feeling balanced the entire time. Structurally strong. I'm like, that's not getting it done. I can combine the two. I'm like, let me reposition my foot. Then reposition my base. This is going to allow you, again, to have the dynamism in the top of the position. That's going to let you adjust your weight and feel like you can put a lot of torque and pressure into that lock. All right, guys, I'd like to go over some of the movement patterns and movement understanding on bottom for how to create, again, some swing and some off balancing in the position. I don't want to get over my own head in terms of talking about martial arts history, but Jigoro Kano, the creator of judo, I think obviously many people agree that, for whatever that's worth, that the understanding of off balancing and the value of off balancing, or kazushi, which is, I've now exhausted one of my 7 Japanese words. I'm very proud of myself. It is really, really important, and recognizing just the value of that, and it's critical that it's a critical component to getting almost anything done. Destabilizing your opponent is going to be important. So how we can do that in the 50-50, which is a position that's otherwise seemingly pretty static and stuck, is the real trick to getting anything done here. So when I find myself locked up, and this is always the problem of jiu-jitsu, of almost everything, is I've got a lot of my limbs on top of Adam, and they're in use holding on to him to keep him from getting away, to keep him from coming forward. And I go, okay, I can't move. Let's say I grab him with 2 hands or do anything like this. Now I have full-on wed myself to this position in space, and aside the fact that Adam would crack me in the mouth if we were fighting. And so the nice thing about it is if you actually grapple, if you're fighting, you'll tend to grapple really well. If you grapple in a way that would get you beat up when you're fighting, you may or may not be grappling well. But basically, I've taken all 4 of my movement resources and I've attached them to Adam's body. That's not wrong. He's going to have a heck of a time getting me off him. I wrapped around him like a snake, but I'm going to have a really difficult time moving. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to lift up onto my shoulder and recognize that, again, I can start to turn and pivot my body. Now, with my legs opening, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my inside leg, the one we would ordinarily think of as threatened, if we rotate, please. Threatened in the reason that I keep my triangle locked, and I'm going to extend it and turn myself to the outside. Now I can swing back to the inside, turn back to the outside. Right now, what do you feel, Adam?
I feel my foot elevated off the mat and all of my weight in my left knee.
Where do you feel my weight?
Feels like you're kind of like driving into me through your shin. Your hips are off the mat. Feels like you're strong through your shoulder.
I'm climbing on Adam, driving off my shoulder. This is my point of contact with the floor. That's my point of contact with him. My body is the conduit for that force. That allows me to encourage Adam to press into me. Please do. And now I can switch in the other direction. Now, I'm going to open my feet so that you guys can see. Imagine there were no heel hooks, which is, I don't know if I like that world or not. But basically, what do you feel now?
Now I feel like your shin has created a frame that's stopping me from driving in.
Correct. I need a point of contact on him, but I also need a point of contact on the floor. What's my point of contact on the floor?
Your shoulders.
How about now?
Now your forearm.
Absolutely. How about now?
Back of your elbow, your left hand.
What I want you guys to start to feel is your ability to drive off the ground and off them in the position is going to be the driving and key force for how you can create off-balancing, kazushi, movement, you name it, and dynamism in the position that allows you to run people into things. This is the grappling equivalent of footwork and striking. Being able to move yourself and move your opponent as a result, dragging them into space so that you can run them onto your offense. So again, sometimes it's important to grapple. You're going to get a lot of value out of grappling with heel hooks, without heel hooks, with punches, without punches. All you're doing is playing with the levels and playing with the rules and saying, hey, under the following circumstances, how would I move and what will it teach me? If you want to learn how to be a good kicker, kick a lot, but also sometimes take punches out. do taekwondo style sparring. And then other times you go, hey, let's now that we have some kicking ability, let's put the hands and the takedowns back in, or just the hands, or just the takedowns, and see how does this affect my movement patterns? How does this affect my tools? Are there any other concerns that I need to be worried about here? What can I do that's the same, and what can I do that's different? But one of the troubles that we have sometimes in this position and any other is and it's one of the reasons, in my opinion, that jiu-jitsu guys struggle to learn to wrestle, is a lot of times you're starting to learn and you're punished very, very severely for making mistakes because people choke the crap out of you. And generally speaking, your opponent, if you're in a jiu-jitsu class's level of guillotine, is a lot higher than your level of double leg unless you come with a wrestling background. So if you can remove some of the submissions from the game originally, what you're going to find is that you're going to attack more, you're going to feel more, you're going to flow more, and people who are really inclined to figure out what they're going to do are going to attack anyway. However, it's nice to lower the bar so that more of us can get involved and we can get more practice anyway. It's more efficient. So we come back. I'm turning to the back corner. I'm on my outside shoulder. I'm turning to the front corner. I'm on my inside shoulder. Turning to the back corner. Turning to the front corner. I can start to make all sorts of points of contact with the ground and with my partner. I can open my feet and close my feet. What I want you guys to do is play with this and start to see what works, but recognize that when you're going to your left or your back corner, you're going to tend to be on your left side. When you're going to the front corner or the right corner, assuming I'm in a right leg 50-50 entanglement, I'm going to be on my right shoulder. Finding out, exploring how you can articulate your movement and articulate your body through those positions, and recognizing that the two main off-balance points in the 50-50 are that front corner or that back corner is going to be the key to creating the kazushi and the movement and the dynamic openings that you're going to need to be effective here.